What is going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today we're going to talk to you on Rivian. I want to go over some of the current data points, talk on what was just announced, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, let's get right to it. So Rivian is down 3.4%. A fair amount of volume though, so 21.3 million shares being traded, 29 is the average. Just about to head into power hour somewhat. $14.73 so far is the low. And so once I talk on technicals, that'll make a little bit more sense. As of today, no official news from Rivian, no SEC filings, but through social media, they did post this. This is it. Get ready to meet the R2 on March 7th. And ultimately, as you can kind of see, the cheaper SUV, the R2, which is estimated to be, I think, $40,000 to $60,000 range, or within that range, is going to be unveiled. So that is absolutely key. And I feel like a lot of the EVs do need to transition to a lower priced vehicle sooner rather than later if they do want to survive and plus continue to expand, right? Especially given the circumstances in the broader market. Is just a lot of grayness, and especially based on what Tesla recently said in their recent earnings, their success is going to be very much heavily reliant on interest rates. And what Powell said last week, like, he's going to be watching the data. He is most likely going to be cutting probably in May. I think that's what the Wall Street's consensus is. But for any reason, if it is pushed to the second part of the year, I don't anticipate that, but if that does happen, EVs will continue to struggle. So Rivian's kind of stuck in the middle ground a little bit, but the R2 definitely will be absolutely key for it. Going over some data points, there hasn't been any recent analyst ratings. So last one was done by Goldman Sachs. Mark, who does have a 61% success rating. And for an analyst to cover EVs, that is a pretty good rating in my opinion. But he did give a $17 price target. So it's kind of low in comparison to the others, because based on all the analyst ratings, as a consensus, it's roughly about $25.22. And that works out to be a 67% upside. So I've said this in the past, Rivian is struggling, getting dragged down with other EVs and their concerns. A lot of people are just piggybacking those concerns, assuming it's going to happen to Rivian. I don't feel that's justified, and I feel like with their upcoming earnings on the 21st, I believe, that's when the market is going to realize that Rivian is still on a huge expansionary path and will definitely be a very big contender to Tesla in the coming years. And this is why I did decide to buy. I bought in at $15.50, but it's very difficult to get to the bottom with EVs. Extremely volatile. Today, there's a lot of volatility coming from China and many other concerns. There's just so much out there. But like I said, no real recent analyst ratings. Broader technical, so if you are a fan of the Elliott wave, it still does look somewhat bearish, because right now it does have $16.80 being the pivot. And for as long as Rivian is below that, then it is anticipated to go between $11.90 and $12.60. As I've said in the past, I kind of feel like that's overdone. That's too much, because for it to get to those levels, like the actual PS ratio, the multiples on it would be extremely low, that nobody would ignore Rivian, because all institutions would gravitate towards the value plays in each sector, and Rivian would be the big value play for the EV sector, aside from Polestar, but they're going through their own concerns right now. So when it comes down to shorts though, those are the individuals betting on Rivian. So even though Rivian has gone down, short interest is at all-time highs for Rivian. So right now 16.93% of the free float is being shorted. So as you can kind of see, scraping off all this crap, it is all-time highs. So shorts have been slowly and steadily getting into Rivian, causing it to, once again, like I said, go down. Currently, they are returning about 260,000 shares, 113.59 million shares overall are being shorted, and cost to borrow average is 2.24%. So as I've said in the past, I do not see Rivian being a squeeze play. I'm just bringing this up more as a benchmark. So the fact that they are returning on a red day, on a very bloody day, kind of shows that it's an overreaction. That's more of a positive note, in my opinion, once again. If you are looking for a lot of good compiled information, such as Elliott Wave, technicals, analyst ratings, even analyst forecasts for upcoming earnings, take a look at Interactive Brokers, link in the description below and also the comments. But aside from that though, looking at options, Based on right now us heading into Power Hour, $9.91 million in calls being purchased versus $3.16 million in puts. As far as the consensus though, 49% of all the options being done today are bearish, but still, like I said, kind of evenly divided. I think a lot of people do know that Rivian has a lot of good value. Just at the same time, it's hard to catch the bottom because it's just getting dragged down with the broader market. If there's concerns about demand and just higher interest rates, a potential recession, or so many different fears out there, like, again, some people are hesitant to actually commit and buy Rivian. Even though a lot of people do really like Rivian vehicles, they have a lot of good demand for the actual vehicles. If there's broader concerns, that kind of does trump just the individual stock. So it's kind of, you can tell that based on the options that is happening. Of the call options that are being purchased, there is a consensus for it to be above 1550 by the end of this week. So not really much upside. Looking at puts though, it is anticipated to be sub $14. So that's kind of extreme, similar nature to the Elliott Wave technicals. Today, I actually did sell some puts. So if you guys don't know options, highly suggest in researching them. But I did sell weekly puts on Rivian. So that means if it does go below $14, that's the strike price I did select. So if it goes below $14, then I get to buy Rivian at $14. If it does stay above it, then I get to keep the premium. So it's a win-win. That's why I like to do options. Highly suggest in researching them if you don't know. As far as big money, there is a lot of attention to it. Like I said, the volume is kind of high. So these are all the transactions that did occur on the secondary market above $100,000. Some pretty big ones. So 3.2 million, 1.2 million. Aside from that though, just a lot of big money is looking at Rivian. And like I kind of talked on, it's more so to do with that whole value play aspect, because even looking at Stochastic and RSI, it is overdone. So oversold. So if there's a good piece of news, and again, assuming the broader market isn't in panic mode, then Rivian is going to get a very big rush of value investors, causing it to go up very fast, as what we've seen happen in the past, especially in December. Aside from that though, momentum shows number of retail investors are getting in, and when it comes to the actual next strong support and resistance points, with it currently at $15.08, it is trading between this S2 and this S1. So kind of flirting with this S1 right now, so it's gone over and whatnot, but still, at the end of today, you'll have to watch whether it does close below or above this 1511, which is, like I said, that S1. But it did bounce off of this S2, so this 1480. So we do know that's a very strong support. It has held in the past, I believe on last Thursday and Wednesday, if I remember correctly, it did actually touch that general area. So we do know that's a very strong support. If that is to break, then $14.28 is going to be that next strong support. I don't anticipate that breaking, but then again, I'm not a financial advisor, so as I've already said. As far as some other resistance points, if Rivian does get a value run, then you kind of want to watch for it to get above this pivot point of $15.62. So once again, it might not necessarily be the bottom, but if you do believe in EVs and Rivian bigger picture, then take advantage of these discounted prices, because analysts have been very bearish on a lot of stocks, one of which is Lucid, even Tesla as a result of their recent earnings. But with all that said though, analysts are very optimistic with Rivian. And oddly enough, one thing that really stood out to me was Dan Levy. I brought this up vaguely last video from Barclays, but he gave a $25 price target on Rivian. And at that same time, he actually did give bearish ratings on Tesla, Lucid, and I believe Polestar, if I remember correctly. But regardless, they were bearish. So out of anything, I feel like a lot of analysts are really having high hopes for Rivian. So if you do believe in it bigger picture, then take advantage of these discount prices. Whereas if you are trying to catch the bottom, maybe orient yourself to that Elliott Wave technicals like I kind of mentioned earlier. So let me know your thoughts on Rivian as well. What is your thoughts on the R2? Do you think that's going to have a lot of demand, or do you think it's going to fall by the wayside? What's your viewpoint on the R2? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. One final thing I just want to share with you, take advantage of this promo. Simply sign up for an account with Moomoo, throw $100 at it, and you get 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. Take advantage of this while you can. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.